I ignored my neighbor for 4 months. Then she showed up at my door one rainy night begging for help. Rain hammered against my apartment windows so hard that the glass trembled with every gust of wind. It was nearly midnight when a desperate knock echoed through the hallway, louder than the thunder outside. I almost ignored it, just like I had ignored the woman living across the hall for the last 4 months. But something about that knock felt different. It wasn't impatient. It wasn't angry. It sounded like the final cry of someone who had run out of hope. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Shadow of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world compassion still exists. 4 months earlier, I had moved into the apartment building hoping to leave my old life behind. My divorce had drained every piece of happiness I had left. I barely trusted anyone anymore. Every smile felt fake, every conversation felt forced, and every friendly gesture looked like someone asking for something in return. I promised myself I would keep my head down, go to work, come home, and never become involved in anyone else's problems. Across the hallway lived a woman named Emma. She always smiled whenever our paths crossed. She carried groceries for elderly neighbors, watered plants for people traveling, and somehow remembered everyone's birthdays. The entire building seemed to adore her, everyone except me. Every morning she would politely wave while I hurried past pretending not to notice. Sometimes she left homemade cookies outside different apartments during holidays. Mine was the only doorstep she eventually stopped visiting. At first, she tried saying hello almost every day, but after weeks of receiving nothing except silence, she quietly accepted that I wanted to be left alone. Looking back now, I realize I wasn't protecting my heart. I was building a prison around it. Life continued in silence. Weeks turned into months. I noticed little things without meaning to. Some evenings she came home looking exhausted, carrying heavy grocery bags by herself. Sometimes I heard her crying softly through the thin apartment walls late at night. Other times I saw bruises hidden beneath the sleeves of her sweater, though I convinced myself they were accidents. Every instinct told me something wasn't right, yet I buried the thought before it could grow. It wasn't my business. That became the excuse I repeated whenever guilt tried to reach me. One afternoon, an elderly neighbor asked if I knew whether Emma was feeling all right because she had missed church for 2 weeks. I shrugged my shoulders and walked away before the conversation could continue. That memory still haunts me. The rainstorm arrived on a cold Friday night. The power flickered several times before settling into darkness for nearly 5 minutes. When the lights finally returned, so did the loud knocking at my door. I opened it expecting management or another neighbor. Instead, Emma stood there completely soaked. Rainwater dripped from her hair onto the floor. Her breathing was uneven, and fear covered her face more clearly than the rain covering her clothes. She looked nothing like the cheerful woman who used to brighten the hallway. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't asking for shelter. She simply begged for help. Without thinking, I stepped aside and led her inside. For a long moment she couldn't even speak. Her hands shook so badly that she almost dropped the phone she was holding. Tears mixed with the rain running down her face. I handed her a towel and watched someone who had spent months hiding unimaginable pain finally collapse under its weight. She explained that her younger brother had become trapped in an abusive relationship involving dangerous people who were now searching for him after he tried to escape. He had called her only minutes earlier, terrified and injured, hiding several blocks away in an abandoned parking garage. She had tried calling everyone she knew, but no one answered because of the storm. Her car refused to start, public transportation had stopped running, and she had nowhere else to turn. The painful irony hit me immediately. After months of silence, the one person I had deliberately ignored had still believed I might help. Shame settled deep inside my chest. We drove through flooded streets with windshield wipers struggling against sheets of rain. Visibility was terrible. Every traffic light reflected across the wet pavement like broken pieces of glass. Emma stared out the window, silently praying while squeezing her phone with trembling hands. When we finally reached the parking garage, we found her brother sitting behind a concrete pillar. His face was bruised, one arm appeared injured, and exhaustion covered every expression he made. He looked relieved the moment he saw his sister. Getting him safely into my car felt like only the beginning. The nearest hospital was overwhelmed because of weather-related accidents across the city. Hours passed inside the emergency waiting room. During those long hours, I learned more about Emma than I had during the previous 4 months living directly across from her. She worked 2 jobs. She had been raising her younger brother since their parents died years earlier. She secretly donated part of every paycheck to a local food pantry.